I want to talk about Bloom's taxonomy. It's a foundational model that I think serves the design process in a few different ways. So I want to explain what it is and how it shows up when I'm designing and delivering programs. So it's been around since the 1950s. It was created by Benjamin Bloom and a few colleagues that he worked with. And originally it was created to categorize educational goals. And he looked at three different areas. So the cognitive domain, which is knowing in your head, the affective domain, which is feeling in your heart, and the third one is psychomotor, so doing things, working with your hands or even your body. And I find that the taxonomy or the model comes up in a few places and can be helpful in guiding the design process. So let me share the model with you and we can walk through it together. So this is the model. You can see that it's a triangle and we actually work from bottom to top. So with any of the three domains that I mentioned just briefly before, we start with remember. So does the person remember what they learned? Then we move up to, do they understand? Can they make sense of what they learned? Apply then is obviously, can they apply it, new ways of using that knowledge? Can they analyze? Can they break what they've learned into different parts and describe how they relate to each other? Can they evaluate, make judgments, create guidelines? And then finally, can they create? Once they've taken it apart, can they put it together in new ways? So that in a nutshell is Bloom's taxonomy. And I find that it comes up in three different places. One is most common probably is it comes up when we create our learning objectives for our course. So when we're teaching something, are we trying to help people remember it? Are we trying to help them apply it? Or even evaluate or create. So what's the level of learning that we're looking at when we're creating those learning objectives? And then what flows out of that is if we want somebody to be able to apply something, that then determines what's the learning activity that we're going to have in our course. So if we want them to apply, we're not going to have like a quiz question, because that gets at understanding or remembering. Apply is where they need to go do the activity and then somehow report back or do a role play or something like that. So the learning activity or the learning objective drives the learning activity, and they're both based on Bloom's taxonomy. The third place that it comes up is in the evaluation. So if you're looking at measuring how effective was this course, am I actually going to get the results I'm looking for? You can then also evaluate according to Bloom's taxonomy. So if I know my learning objective was about applying, I had a learning activity about applying, I can then measure the effectiveness, or I can evaluate to what extent were they able to apply. If all of your objectives and all of your activities are around understand and remember, you can't then all of a sudden start evaluating, well, did they apply or analyze, because you haven't put that foundation into your program. So Bloom's taxonomy, it's not the only model, but it's a really good model for understanding how do I organize my objectives, my activities, and tie in my evaluation at the end. And using it as a framework for all three of those gives some good continuity to training design. Thanks for listening.